Excuse me, Mr. Barman. I would like a slippery nipple, a grasshopper, and a J2O apple and mango, please, and thank you. That was rubbish.
There we go.
That was
really rubbish,
crap.
Did you even bother practicing this week?
You know, that's as dire as the flavour of J2O that's been ordered.
Honestly.
I know I joke about.
What? Poor.
Honestly.
Poor effort.
You know it's bad when your intro gets related to an apple and mango J2O.
Yeah. We're 5 episodes in here.
I know I joke about the other ones being original compositions, but that actually...
That's why it was so rubbish.
What's that, tickly or my dickly?
Oh, yes. Moving on
it is,
from that, welcome back. It was episode 5, and
hello.
People are still listening. That's nice.
Not as many as the first episode.
Yeah, no, not as many. Views are going
we don't
down.
know that yet.
Yeah, we do.
It could all change.
First episode of each month could be the big hit for us. You never know. We live in hope.
We're hoping so, yeah, touch wood. Now, for those who are just joining or have just listened to all 4 episodes and decided to listen to a 5th and treat their ears, my name is Tom, or Thomas on a Sunday.
My name's Dan.
And I'm part-time forklift driver, full-time mum shagger, Joseph Benham.
Very nice.
Do you have the certificates for that as well? Are you internationally certified?
I've certainly got certain certificates, but my doctor told me that I shouldn't disclose them on the internet. So
I'm not
going to do that.
Well, on that note, cheers.
Cheers.
It's a pleasure to be back. I mean, I've signed a contract. I have to be here, but...
You've signed a contract?
All parts of the fun.
He wrote it himself.
Now, we like to start with news, and we started with your news last week, but I'd like to start with mine.
Yeah.
Because I'm being selfish. All right? And the news that I saw today, and this actually happened today, is that a parking spot went up for sale in London today. It was a £750,000 double garage parking space for sale in London. It's a 28.15 square metre spot located near Oxford Street in Mayfair. Sounds awful, right? It is
$750,000, did you say?
$750,000. It's 3 times the national house price average for a parking space, a garage.
I just needed somewhere to park my car in London.
Why would you pay that?
Some people would. It's Mayfair, you pay for the name.
The type of people that, and if anyone parks a car there, the amount of money that you'll collect in taxes will be huge. It was a monopoly joke.
But there are some benefits to this hefty £750,000 double garage.
Yeah, the taxes if someone lands on it.
Is that the pros rather than the cons is that the residential building that it is based in has a 24-hour porter service. You'll go and get whatever you want. And also, if you decided to mortgage it, put your 10% deposit down and mortgage this garage, it only cost you $3,200 a month.
I mean,
unless
my
sounds a lot more
porter
affordable.
is going to go and get me £750,000, it just doesn't justify the cost.
It is Mayfair after all. And, $3,200 a month is actually only £106 a day. So, pocket money.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I
said,
I never even. Why did I not think of it that way?
Like I said, I just needed someone to park my
what's
car,
that
guys.
per hour like?
It's actually £4.44 recurring every hour.
Do you know what, actually?
Parking spot.
You slap your car in an NCP car park in Manchester, you pay a similar amount. That's all you're doing, essentially. You're paying an hourly rate for a car park for the rest of your life.
I mean, the type of people who are going to pay for that type of parking space, £750,000 is quite literally
They're the type of
change.
people that don't drive their own cars.
It's pocket change to them, though, isn't it?
Melinda Gates has gone and spent the first bit of her divorce money.
Yeah, she's going to move to London just to buy a parking space.
No, what she's done, she's gone and bought a parking space just as a middle finger up to Bill Gates and all the environmentally friendly stuff he's trying to do.
A nice diesel-powered parking space.
Yeah, I'm going to leave a car there and I'm going to leave it powered on all day. I'd just like to apologise to all the listeners as well that are having to crank the volume up whenever Joe speaks this week and down whenever.
Why are you speaking so deeply this week?
I woke up about 2 hours ago.
I woke up.
And just to give people context, it's 10 to 10 at night
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea when Joe's waking up.
You know, I was tired.
Before Joe shares his news story this week as well, I would just like to offer our weekly nod to space. Okay. Carry on, Joe.
That was really nice. Do you know what? I think space appreciated that.
I hope it did.
I was delayed there. I didn't see it. Can we cut this out? Okay, my news. Something cool that's set to return for 2025 or 2026.
2025.
Only 4 years away.
Or 2026 could be.
Only 5 years away.
4 to 5 years.
Only 4 to 5 years away.
45 years.
4 to 5.
425 years.
Yes. We'll never see it.
Supersonic passenger flight.
Oh,
like Concorde.
Yeah.
No way.
Except this time successful, apparently.
Okay.
But who's running it? Well, no. Concorde was successful. It was just financially unsuccessful.
I mean, some of them did just blow up in the sky.
No, it didn't.
Who's running it?
The company that is producing the aircraft is called Ariane. Sadly, it's a private company because I was looking to possibly invest in it because I thought, 2025 supersonic flight, I'll be rich. I won't be because it's a private company. But they
sweet with one of the directors, and we'll see if they'll give you some shares.
No, so they are working on international supersonic flight. So one of the failures of Concorde was because it only did transatlantic, it only did London to New York and New York to Paris, that you could only go supersonic across the ocean because of the volume. Obviously, something goes supersonic. It's a very loud noise.
Smash all the glass in its vicinity.
So what they're doing is NASA are working on a way to...
Getting rid of all the glass.
Yeah, exactly. So this actually...
We'll bankroll the lawsuits. You just fly the plane.
No, this really interests me. So NASA are working on a way to make it so that the sound waves that are generated from a sonic boom, the way it basically works is that the boom comes from the nose of the plane, and then it's all squashed and projected downwards.
Yeah, because it's piercing the...
Yeah. And the way the sound waves propagate is that the jet propels them downwards into the floor because of how they're short at the start and then get longer as they go back, so they go down. NASA are working on a way to extend, essentially, it's essentially a way of making sure that the waves go down at less of an angle. So instead of this loud booming it like being at the ground immediately, they're trying
time to dissipate.
Yeah, and they're trying to make it sort of lengthen out. So imagine it's like a very steep slope. Is original, like Concorde, for example, and now the planes they're working on.
It's just a gentle meandering hill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like you might take a nice stroll up this hill.
A bimble.
But you'd never take a stroll up.
Or a jaunt.
The Concorde hill.
No.
Because you find yourself tumbling back down it.
I find it quite amusing that by the time HS2 finishes and you'll be able to get a train from Manchester to London in an hour because it's a super fast train, NASA have gone, no, it's all right. We'll have you there in 5.
So NASA are only working on the sound propagation for the supersonic speed section. Ariane are making the planes, but NASA are working on the technology to make the sound waves propagate differently. But yeah, and the reason they're doing it is to allow overland flight in these planes. Yeah, and they're doing between 2022 and 2025, they're going to fly the planes overland and get feedback from people who live there and be like, was this too loud? What this, that, and the other? The workers
just ask them through ask them through the glassless windows of the house.
Yeah.
Have any disturbances today? Was everything okay?
No, I didn't notice anything.
But yeah,
that was really. I like that. That's really cool. That's something to look forward to.
Yeah,
so ticket will never afford.
2020. Oh yeah, they're quite expensive. Oh no. But what they were saying is that
but won't that make it more affordable? Yeah. Because they'll be doing... The thing that made Concorde so expensive was because they had to cover the cost of it.
The other thing that made Concorde so expensive was it was brand new. Yeah. It was mainly used by business people. It was this new thing and people were like, oh my God, I can go to New York in very little time. But...
The prestige of Concorde allowed them to charge what they charge as well. Let's face it, it's the same reason Aston Martin and Bentley can charge as much for the cars because it's an Aston Martin or a Bentley.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. And the whole thing of being able to travel, I think it, like, Los Angeles to Sydney was 8.5 hours instead of 14.5 hours.
It's a big difference.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Well, you've unexpectedly perfectly segued me into and I was today years old when I learnt.
when I found out.
Or when I found out. Either way,
I can't go renaming the segments.
Now, I'm not 100% sure on the validity of this because this is just I haven't prepared. This is something I am aware of. So please, if I'm wrong, tell me.
You're right.
I am absolutely sure they will.
But there is a theory, or it might be fact, that they couldn't use Concorde as a fighter jet, that technology, because if they shot bullets out of it, or missiles at a target, it would catch up with them. And then, of course, hit the missile or the bullet and cause damage to itself.
Friendly fire turned on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Playing the game in hardcore.
Please feel free
Call
to
of
fact
Duty
check
joke.
that.
I imagine that's got to be true because a bullet doesn't,
Some bullets do travel faster than sound.
Yeah, but not all bullets do.
Yeah, but I'd imagine if they're coming out of a plane, you're not shooting a pistol
Well, no,
out
because
of
you'd
Concorde.
put things like a railgun on a plane, I'm assuming, and
Yeah, they shoot pretty damn fast, I would assume. I
yeah,
mean,
but not at the speed of sound, surely.
well, if you're stood more than 344 meters away from a gun, certain guns, if they shoot, the bullet will hit you before you hear the sound. Because sound travels at 344 meters a second.
The last thing you ever saw was the flash of the gun, but never heard it.
Yeah, exactly.
Dun, dun, dun.
Don't you think that's actually crazy that you could be looking at a hill? You'd be like, was that a flash? And the next thing you're just...
I don't think you'd even have a moment to go, is that a flash?
Well, yeah.
Depends how far away the hill is.
You'd have to be pretty damn far away.
Imagine flash.
I mean, well, light travels so fast.
Could be a
You
long
wouldn't even have
hill.
time to think about it, would you?
So I'm going to, I'm clutching at straws with this segue, but speaking about guns which fire, we're going to flip it the other way, and I'm going to talk about water. Yes, that was as close to a segue as I could get. I feel quite impressed by that.
Someone hasn't been practicing their segues.
No, he
in the
hasn't.
mirror.
He hasn't.
I haven't.
Come on, Dan.
Well, you need to practice yours in the mirror.
Frequently.
The problem is they're all about balance, and I'm dyspraxic, so it was a segue
You
joke.
said- and said you were dyspraxic as you hit the table and
Yep.
knocked the microphone. Honestly.
Yep, it's all
Perfectly
right.
timed.
I'm just sick.
Laugh at the disabled kid. It's okay, no worries.
Always.
Okay. Anyway.
So, did you know firefighters' water is wetter than normal water?
What?
It's wetter than
Oh,
normal
well,
water.
this is going to spiral us into...
Now,
Is
is
water
water wet? Or is things that come into contact with water wet?
They put wetting agents in the water to make it spread and soak more when they're fighting fires.
So surely a wetting agent is made from water.
I genuinely have no clue. I didn't do loads of research. I just found this fact that firefighters' water was wet. Joe is typing at the speed of a light.
I'm going
right
to
now.
consult my uncle, who's a firefighter.
Alcohol
and I
or
want to know.
petroleum distillates, such as... that's a word I can't pronounce.
So if you stood inside a burning house with your mouth open, you could get pissed. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. So wetting agents are commonly used on an industrial scale in irrigation water to, in theory, that's in parentheses, improve the absorption of water by soils and to reduce soil erosion. But they're made from alcohol or petroleum distillates, such as polyacrylamides.
Bless you.
I think that's cheers, mate. I think that's how you say it. That's quite cool.
No way.
But just a quick point. Water is absolutely wet.
Yeah.
I will hear nothing.
But
else.
fireman's water
Is wetter.
is
than
wetter.
Is even wetter. Yeah.
Okay.
That's because the fireman tease it
Now,
first.
all right, you have you
Can you
swiftly moving.
can you tell
on.
this isn't something I
I
get
am
involved
going
in?
to I'm going to complete the elements that you're bringing along. We've mentioned fire and water. I'm going to bring air into the equation.
We need an earth one now.
Now
as well.
that is a segue. So there is a way to weigh air. Now, if you put a set of scales on this table, it will register at 0 because you can't weigh the air on top of it because there's the same amount of air below it and to the side of it and around it. The air pressure is all the same. Now, the only way to weigh air is by removing the air from underneath. And that's where suction cups come into it. If you stick a suction cup to this table, it's not stuck to the table because of some magical force. That is actually the weight of the air between that table and the upper atmosphere pushing down on top of the suction cup.
Is it the weight or is it the pressure?
It's the pressure, but that is the mass of that air on top. It's not stuck to the table, it's just pushed down.
I'm going to stay silent on this one.
Gravity.
I wasn't today years old when I learned this, but it is still a mightily impressive fact.
That's mad.
It is impressive.
Like that tiny little piece of plastic is a physical representation of a tunnel of air from that table to the upper
that's cool.
That's cool.
The thing that impresses me most about things like this isn't necessarily that the fact itself, so much as someone has had to figure that out.
Yes, that's impressive.
We can do it now and calculate and figure it out because someone
already
just after I've
like,
mastered doing my shoelaces. But yeah, sure. Yeah, we'll move on to it.
You know, all like going back to last week and Isaac Newton and
check out episode 4 if you missed it.
Brahmagupta,
Sir Isaac Newton,
sorry, and Brahmagupta, discovering gravity. Someone's got to have figured it out first.
Yeah.
And I think that's the bit that's impressive.
Where the Sheldons of the world come in.
I reckon if I was sat under an apple tree, however many years ago, and saw an apple fall in front of me, I too would have gone, how's that happened?
Yeah, but how many things do we take for granted nowadays? And the phrases we've talked about on the podcast so far.
Name something that we take for granted right now off the top of your head. Name something.
The phrases we've discussed. Numerous phrases.
Something right now. Think of it right now. Get it in your head. Something that we take for granted right now.
The fact that I can tip this glass and the water will pour into my mouth.
I don't think that's something that you take for granted.
Tap water.
I do take it for granted.
Yes, do take tap water for granted. Absolutely. Because
we actually do.
Because you get those taps that are like, oh, this isn't safe to consume. It's like, yeah, try me.
And the moment that I immediately realise I'm taking it for granted is when I turn on a tap and realise it's a boiling water tap, one of them posh ones that's instant.
Oh, yeah.
And then I remember the water.
Just didn't realise hard water existed. You know, we were in Thorpe Park. I mentioned this last week. Shout out Thorpe Park.
I'd like to inform everyone, hard water, a.k.a. ice.
No, not ice, Joe. That is different.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
In the south of England, there is hard water. You can't drink the water that comes from the taps.
Why?
Because there is I don't know if it's limescale or bacteria or something in the water. I was going
to help him, but I'm going to let him go for it.
Yeah, there's something in the water, and I don't know whether it's limescale.
You're right. There is something in the water.
I think
it's not filtered to the same way.
It's the minerals and the pollutants in the water.
Minerals. That's the word I was looking for.
They cause it to be not toxic, but it'll give you a little bit of a dicky stomach.
Yeah, there's limescale in the water. Yeah.
Well, no, on the pipes that the water goes through.
That's nothing to do with it.
Move on, Joe.
So I have a cool fact. And this will actually perfectly segue us into...
Speaking of Segway, do you know the person that invented the Segway died because he rolled off the cliff on a Segway?
Watch, guys. This thing can stick to the cliff, I bet. Where he's gone. Watch. I've invented an anti-gravity machine, guys.
Do you know what's incredibly ironic? Another ironic invention is the guy that invented eHarmony. His wife...
she left him for someone
cheated on him with a guy that she met on eHarmony.
Imagine how it works.
Constructing
really well.
Constructing the instrument of your own demise. That'd be horrendous, wouldn't it?
So yeah, speaking of construction, bees. They are the artful masters of constructing.
Yeah, busy bees.
Busy bees. They are.
Bees.
Now it's completely unrelated, but I thought I'd slide it in. If bees were paid minimum wage for their labour, a jar of honey would cost £130,500 for a single jar of honey. That's how much labour.
Is that not how much you pay for your honey?
No, I pay 179,000 because I actually pay a higher wage for my bees.
Yeah, of course.
You know, they deserve it. They work hard.
I watched a really good documentary about bees not long ago, actually. I think it was called The Bee Movie. And
I still
the
can't
greatest
believe
movie
I've
of
not,
all time, by the way.
I'll see if I can dig it out for next week, but I have a T-shirt with the entire B movie script on it somewhere.
But you need to wear that for next episode.
I had it in
for
college.
those watching on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, wherever we post these videos. Please tune in next week to see Joe in his B movie script.
It'll be
t-shirt.
a monumental occasion as well, because not only will Joe be wearing the entire movie script on a T-shirt,
he'll just be wearing a
hoodie.
Yeah, it'll just be a T-shirt,
Oh
no hoodie.
It will. I will only display the T-shirt for a moment, and then I'll go into
Why
a
don't
hoodie.
you put the T-shirt over the hoodie, and then you know you're still wearing a hoodie?
Because then he's going to cover some of the scripts with his hood.
No, the
The
script's
script's
on the
only on the front. The whole script
must only be a short script.
Oh no,
it's just
it's very, very small.
The text is so unreadable.
Brilliant.
But yeah. Anyway, I have a cool. I was today years old when I found out.
Joe, just reminding everyone, we are still on this segment.
Yeah, and this will segue us into section numero tres.
That's number 3 in Spanish.
Yeah. The girl Flow Rider sings about in Low was wearing apple-bottom jeans, boots with the fur, baggy sweatpants, and Reeboks with the straps all at the same time, so we must conclude that she was, in fact, a centaur. in this essay, I will.
Is that
the whole thing.
Is that someone's essay title?
No idea.
That's brilliant.
I like how dry
This
you
was
delivered
years
that
ago.
for
This
us.
was years ago that I saw that on Twitter. And like I said last week, I was scrolling through my notes and I was like, oh my God, that's perfect.
That's excellent. A centaur. They have to be.
I never
How
thought about
How
that.
could they clothe all of that at the same time and still be song-worthy?
Yeah, you'd argue if they were wearing all of those items of clothing, you probably wouldn't be talking to them in a club.
Probably
You'd
not.
be avoiding them.
You don't talk to anyone in a club.
maybe
you shout.
Mr. Florida was
Listen,
I can't. We're in a club.
no, yeah, I know you shout when you've had a drink.
Yeah, I do. Right, now, after last week's episode, we received a number of comments. And not complaints, just constructive criticism and feedback from the likes of Jade. Shout out, Jade. Thank you very much for the inspiration. Okay, my girlfriend, she also said, not really that interested about Transformers. And, a lot of our viewers are men.
So I take it you're single now.
I would just like my girlfriend to speak to me.
Oh, bless.
She couldn't even muster the strength to say hello from behind
I
the
know,
camera.
that
She couldn't even
was
speak to me
tough.
then either.
That was
Sat there
tough.
silently.
But yeah, so we thought we would address this issue. Talking about Boris Johnson, don't know why. Now, while claiming that men and women are wired differently is a huge, drastic oversimplification,
I don't think
there
it
are
is.
still a number of experiences and characteristics that are occasionally unique to each group. Okay, so what we thought we would do is reach out to the ladies amongst our listeners and ask them what things you would like a male perspective on, or what things about men completely and utterly baffle you and leave you questioning not alone men's existence, but also your own. And we thought off the back of that, in turn, we would try, and a strong emphasis on the try, to clarify some of these questions and topics.
Yeah.
And we've been completely inundated with disgruntled ladies from around the world with questions and topics that they want us to discuss.
So I would just like to say, in advance of the next 15 or so minutes, it's been lovely recording this podcast with you for the last 5 weeks,
This may
guys.
be our last.
No, we'll be
Had a
fine.
great time. We're going to mute Joe's microphone now.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking about how men and women are wired differently, our first question comes from Ella. Shout out Ella.
Thanks, Ella.
And she
You
has
start.
asked, she said it's a bit generic, but why do men think women are so much more complicated than they actually are, especially when it comes to relationships?
Because women
I
think
will
women are
answer this for
complicated.
you all. We don't need to discuss this any further. Because you are. Okay, so moving on to the next question.
women say other women are complicated.
No, yeah, I've heard. Yes, I've heard that.
And women are complicated.
Yeah, but
Men are very...
men are complicated as well.
Yeah, but
I will
we
put
are.
that out there.
We do
men
have our
are
own
simple to men,
We do.
and women are probably very simple to women.
Yes. Yeah, no, I can appreciate where that comes from in terms of you understand your own, but not the opposite.
I think once
can
you
I
become
just-
comfortable with someone as well, like I can understand Jessie's tone of voice.
Can I just...
And I'm sure you can understand Katie's tone of voice.
Yeah, I do. I completely understand every tone that she gives. I just don't understand.
Do you understand this one?
The multiple circumstances that they get used and the variety and difference that they get used in. That's the bit I don't get. I know that tone is, I'm happy, I'm angry, I'm excited. I don't understand the situation they're used in.
I don't understand women.
That is why you're single.
At all. I mean, women don't really understand me either.
No one understands you, Josh.
Yeah, I just don't understand women at all. It's like Dan said, that's why I'm single.
Well,
That's
speaking
not why
of
I'm
women,
single.
I've got another one on the way. We've got a wonderful voice note sent from another Ella.
Lovely.
Ella and Ella. They've got competition. So, Ella K, this one's for you.
So, why do boys' ears shut off as soon as you try and talk to them when they're looking at their phone?
I heard that. Suck it.
What?
Well, I see our ears shutting off. Now, I'm guilty of this. I am. I've been told off multiple times for zoning out on my phone and forgetting the situation I'm in, and I apologise for that. I'm sorry. But I think I don't know whether
I just think that's a girl's view of the situation. Like that, girls are guilty of that as well. I think if anyone is sat on their phone, they run the risk of zoning off.
Yeah.
I think it's just a girl will see a guy do it more because it's a guy doing it. They might not necessarily see it.
Dan's
when a
making
girl
some
does it.
enemies in this
He really
episode.
is,
I was
isn't he?
really looking forward to having these topics and reasonably and
Some light discussion.
yes, and you're
And
digging a
Dan's
grave.
going, well, actually, girls only notice it because men are doing it more.
Digging a grave.
But women do it just as often. If not, women do it more, actually.
No, but what I mean is, if a girl will spend more time with her boyfriend than they will with their friends. So there is there's a higher likelihood that their boyfriend will end up sat on the phone for a bit or whatever. If they're out with their friends, they're more likely to be invested there and then because they're out with their friends.
We're not talking about the quantity that it happens, okay? Because of course, you're going to spend more time with your girlfriend, so of course that comes up more often. But regardless of girlfriends or whatever, clearly it's been noticed that by Ella that boys zone out when they're on the phone. Does it come down to the classic stereotype of men can't multitask?
I think it's just down to anyone that... I think a lot of people struggle to focus on the two things at once, right? So, like...
Sorry, I was drinking at the same time.
Yeah. But, like, I'm in the same boat as Dan here that if anyone's on their phone, they run the risk of not being completely aware of what's going on. This is why the whole thing, you shouldn't cross the road while you're looking at your phone.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I'm always in hospital.
Yeah. And the fact that you're working
Well, I also work there.
But like the whole thing, if you shouldn't cross the road when you're concentrating on your phone, like I can cross the road and I will glance down, but then I'll make sure I've looked where everything is first before I cross with my phone in hand. But you get these people that stroll out like utter lunatics, like no value for their own life. It's a case of anyone that is on their phone runs the risk of zoning out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
It's not a boy or girl thing.
No,
it's just
yeah.
It's one of them. I mean,
I think it probably just gets noticed, but it probably frustrates you more when your boyfriend is not responding to you because he's looking at his phone, and that's when you
possibly as well. And admittedly, I'm only going off the back of myself here, but we may occasionally choose the wrong moment more often.
Like when she's screaming at you and you just go, "This is fun." Did you?
All
Yeah,
right,
Have you seen this TikTok?
I just got a sugar crush on Candy Crush, and you're really shouting at me right now about the fact that I slept with your sister. I got a sugar crush on Candy Crush. You're both right in the sense that people don't pick the right moments. and anyone using their phone will tune out, but you still pick up on certain things.
Yeah.
It's like the cocktail effect. You can be at a party and hear your name from across the room, and even though you weren't listening for it, you snap to it and you're aware that it was said.
That's a nice psychology.
And it's the same thing with if you're on your phone and they say something that just pertains to you immediately, or your name, something like that, you'll suddenly snap away from the distraction and you'll be like, what were you saying? Because I've been guilty of it where I've been on my phone, they've been speaking to me and I have no idea, and then they go, Joe, and I'm like, what? And suddenly it's like I didn't hear a word
Completely
you said.
unaware that someone
I'm
was
like
talking to you.
hyper fixating on my phone. Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like we're getting controversial.
You were getting
this one has come from this. This one has come from Jess Wright, which is ironic because
Shout out to Jess Wright.
She's
Shout out to
always
Jess Wright.
bloody wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, shout out to the Ellas.
Yeah.
How could we possibly forget?
Rihanna should write a song about
You
them.
might have noticed we had no shout outs at the start of the episode. We've saved them all
for all the wonderful ladies listening.
Yeah, so this one goes out to Jess Wright, which is ironic because
She's always bloody wrong.
yeah, it's a joke. It's just a joke, guys. Get over it.
It's not a joke.
Do men think women like being wolf whistled at?
No.
No. That's the top and tail of it.
Essentially, yeah.
Now-
And I'll wolf whistle at Jess as a joke because she's my girlfriend. We've been together
You think
2
sexual
years
harassment
now,
is a joke?
yeah, but Jess knows I'm joking, and I think that's the difference.
Sorry, I like how I said you think sexual harassment is a joke, and you went, yeah, well, that was, you might want to redo that.
But Jess appreciates it as a joke, and because we've been together for the amount of time we have now.
She's currently in tears behind the camera.
Oh.
She's holding. Jess, blink twice if you don't
Sorry,
appreciate
I'll
it as a joke.
turn Spider-Man into Spider-Verse.
Did everyone hear the blinks? I heard the blinks.
I heard them.
I heard them.
The bat of the eyelids.
The bat of the eyelids. Yeah.
No,
But I would never
you're
dream
right.
of wolf whistling at someone in the street.
Absolutely not. And I don't think I can quite
Not in the street. Maybe in a building.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
Like I can quite strongly speak for the three of us that we're not the type of people to walk down the street and wolf whistle or make vulgar or crude comments at a passing woman. No.
I tend to be driving down the street. But
clearly, there are some people in the world that are,
and
I believe you just quite simply don't compute with those people. I don't know where it comes from. I don't understand why there's a need for it. So, in answer to your question, no.
See,
we don't.
Someone I was dating in college would be on the way to where we were going, and they'd be wolf whistled on the way, and they wouldn't want to come anymore because it'd make them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, 9 out of 10 women have been
like
catcalled on the street, and that's it's atrocious.
I just don't get it. Like, I think there's a disconnect as well. A lot of the older generation are like, oh, people used to do it all the time. It doesn't matter. It's harmless. But like, when you really think about it, no, it's not, because like the whole builders on a building site, wolf whistling people, whatever. But if there are, for example, builders on a building site and someone walks past in whatever, they don't know how old that person is. And nowadays, a lot of people look older than they actually are. Like, you could be wolf whistling someone who is half your junior.
So I could be...
Maybe it's regardless of age, though.
Well, yeah.
I could do it either way.
But what I mean is that you could be wolf whistling someone who's 15, 16 years old. Like, I'm not saying it's right when it's an adult, but it's probably less impactful than when you're 15 years old, because that could massively skew your view of the world.
I could be way off the centre here, but pull it back 40 years before social media and everything like that existed. Would you have said that a wolf whistle in the street was the equivalent of liking someone's photo on
or
Instagram?
sliding into DMs?
Exactly, like a random person... Because essentially that is it's a similar premise.
Social media takes away the immediate threat aspect.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I do.
Someone slides into
They're not,
the
they're not there. In front
this
of
is
you.
not me justifying this, by the way. So please don't get it twisted. This was me just playing devil's advocate for a second, essentially.
Like, that's the thing. Someone slides into DMs, you can be like, absolutely not. You could block him. You could just say to him, like, no.
Got some control over the
situation.
situation.
Yeah, exactly. But walking past someone that wolf whistles you in the street, like, anything from that point could potentially happen.
I absolutely adore the reaction of men when they wolf whistle or catcall a woman in the street and she says something back.
There's a great video for
and
that.
they just shut down. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting a comment back. I love it. It's great.
There's a great video for that. There's a woman that walks around New York for, I think it's 8 hours, 12 hours.
She does it silent.
Yeah.
And then
she does another one where she responds to people. The one where she's silent is really weird because at one point there's a guy that just walks with her for blocks and blocks and blocks. But then there's another, the one where she responds is this great one where this guy goes, "You should smile." And then she goes, "Say something funny then." And he goes, and then she goes, and keeps walking, and it's brilliant. But yeah, that's the thing. Like I could never imagine walking down the street, primarily because
you don't want to walk anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, but I can never imagine walking down the street and being catcalled or wolf whistled.
No.
Like, I would never take it as a compliment.
No.
Like, it would make me very uncomfortable, regardless of who did it. And I think it's weird that it's still kind of normalised a bit, I guess. People are like, oh, it doesn't really matter that much. Like, yeah, of course it does.
Nah. Well, yeah. No. We don't like it. We don't think women like it.
We need a woman on the show to provide opinion.
Well, and I mean, that was just the last order's bell.
Yeah.
So speaking of moving forward, we have had a number of these messages, comments, topics that want to be discussed from you lovely listeners. And of course, we will get to them. We will cover them all. But of course, we ran out of time. But in the future, we want people on the show. Let's get people on, and who knows, we could gradually work our way up the ladder and have some Z-listers on the show. And I want to leave you on one question, and we will leave it unanswered. We'll leave it unanswered because I want to hear your opinion. In the cinema, you're watching at your IMAX screen, you've got your popcorn ready and your large Pepsi. Which armrest is yours?
Oh, that's a good question.
And that is all we have for today. Cheers, fellas.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening. See you next week.